For 5 minutes.
Well, thank you all for being here for this important discussion that we're having today. I will tell you, we have to figure out what the balance is, both from a security standpoint, but also to make sure that we are fulfilling our obligations under our Constitution, which was written with real-life circumstances in mind, where they said we don't want the government being able to come in and get everything. They were aware of the situation with general warrants both in London, used against John Wilkes and the Wilkesite Rebellion, and the Founding Fathers were also aware of James Otis and his fight in Massachusetts, which John Adams said sowed the seeds of the Revolution, when the British government wanted to go from warehouse to warehouse looking for smuggled goods. So it's not an easy situation. I do have this question, though. Apparently, some researchers recently published the results of a survey of over 600 encrypted products that are available online, and basically they found that about 2/3 of them are foreign products. So the question would be, given that so many of the encrypted products could in fact be from companies not located or headquartered within the United States of America, if we force the companies that we do have jurisdiction over to weaken the security of their products, are we doing little more than hurting American industry and then sending the really bad actors like Mr. Fletcher, who's the child pornographer, just to a different format that we don't have control over? That's one question that I would ask all three of you.
Right now, Google and Apple act as the gatekeepers for most of those encrypted apps, meaning if the app is not available on the App Store for an iOS device, if the app is not available in Google Play for an Android OS device, a customer in the United States cannot install it. So while some of the encrypted apps like Telegram are based outside the United States, U.S. companies act as the gatekeepers as to whether those apps are accessible here in the United States to be used.
All right. Chief?
I would agree exactly what the captain said, and you know, certain apps are not available on all devices. So if the companies that are outside the United States can't comply with the same rules and regulations of the ones that are in the United States, then they shouldn't be available on the app stores. For example, you can't get every app on a BlackBerry that you can on an Android or a Google.
Yes, sir. What you stated is correct, and I think that certainly we need to examine how other countries are viewing the same problem, because they have the same challenges as we speak and are having similar deliberations as to how their law enforcement might gain access to these communications as well. So as we move toward that, the question for us is, what makes consumers want to buy American products? Is it because they are more secure? Is it because they actually cover the types of services that the consumers desire? Is it just because of personal preference? But at the same time, we need to make sure that we balance that security as well as the privacy that the consumers have come to expect.
And I appreciate that. Captain Cohen, I am curious, you talked about the Fletcher case and indicated that the judge ordered that he give the password to the computer, but then you didn't get access to the thumb drive. Was the judge asked to force him to do that as well, or?
The judge, in that instance, the judge compelled him to provide it. He said it was not encrypted. The thumb drive was not encrypted. His defense expert disagreed with him, said it was encrypted. He then provided a password and failed a stipulated polygraph as to whether he knew the password but failed to disclose it. So every indication is he intentionally chose to not give the second password for that device.
And was he held in contempt for that?
Not that I do not believe he was.
All right. I mean, look, obviously if you can get the images, you have a better chance of finding the victim, but it's true that even before encryption, there was a great difficulty in finding victims, even if you found a store of photographs in a filing cabinet. It was sometimes hard to track down the victims. Isn't that correct?
It is always very difficult to find child victims.
It is. It's just a shame. I like the concept, the visual of you're able to drill into the safety deposit box, but you can't get into the encrypted computer or telephone. Is there a product out there that would be that limited? Because one of the problems that I know Apple has had is that they don't want to have a backdoor to every single phone that other folks can get a hold of and that the government could use at will, particularly governments maybe not as conscious of civil liberties as the United States. Do you know of any such a product that would give you that kind of specificity?
Again, the specificity would be similar to what we had prior to Apple changing where the encryption key is kept, meaning that the legal process served on Apple, as an example, and Apple's the one to use the drill, not law enforcement. That helps provide another layer of protection against abuses by governments other than ours, meaning while they have that capability because they're inside the firewall, those outside the firewall, outside the vault, would have no ability to get access.
All right. I appreciate it, and I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman yields back. Now recognize Mr. Welsh for 5 minutes.